You're listening to the Wedding Procast UK, the place to be if you are a UK wedding professional looking to grow and streamline your business. I'm your host, Donna Eade, 10-year wedding photography veteran and CEO at the Society of Professional Wedding Vendors. If you want to grow and streamline your business, this is the podcast for you. Make sure you hit subscribe where you listen or join our email list at www.spwv.co.uk. You'll find the sign up form at the bottom of every episode, and by doing so you won't miss a thing. So let's jump into today's show. After years in the corporate world, working across the globe, securing multi-million pound contracts, Hannah realised that she had more to offer the world than just winning those contracts. Today, her goal is to help as many businesses as she can to grow like hell and reach the goals they deserve, all without being a spammy pammy or a pushy pull. Today, Hannah Walker is with me and we're going to be talking about having better sales conversations. So don't go anywhere. Let's jump in. Welcome to the podcast, Hannah. I am so excited to have you here. I'm always so excited to have guests because you always share such great knowledge with us and just, help us to move our businesses forward. And I know for you, that is one of your big passions, is helping people to make their businesses bigger as quickly as possible. So welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me. I love it. That is my big thing. I like helping people make money. As funny as that sounds, that's kind of what I like doing. That's why I do what I do, really.
So for those of us that don't know you out in the listener world, tell us a little bit about what it is that you do in your business.
So I am Hannah Walker, for those who maybe didn't even catch it in the title, because I know what people are like. They get so excited, they just want to listen. And I am a sales coach and mentor. I basically help businesses to grow their income, but with none of that spammy pammy and pushy pull techniques. Essentially, I worked in the corporate world for a long time. We weren't going to specifics of years because it was a lot longer than I care to remember. And I left just over 2 years ago now. And since then, I have been basically helping business owners from lots of different types of business to plug those income holes that they may have and grow their business without compromising any of their ethics and any of their integrity, which they might think happens sometimes from a lot of people in the sales world, because we have a bit of a rep. People aren't a massive fan of salespeople, but my mission in life is to change that and make you guys realize we're not all like that. I promise. So some of us are actually really nice.
Well, I actually love that you use the word integrity there, because the Society of Professional Wedding Vendors is one of our core values: passion, heart, and integrity. So this makes me so happy because the one thing I think, and I can speak for myself here as a 10-year wedding photography veteran. I say veteran, I've got 2 weddings left to do. I'm still trying to stop. But by the time this goes out, I think I will only have 1 left. So that will be good. But I can speak for myself, and I think it is something that creatives struggle with, is selling what we do is very difficult for us. And I remember clearly learning from one of my photography mentors that she was so nervous about telling people the price of her thing. She would say, she would walk alongside the canvases that she'd done. She used to do female portraiture, and she would turn around and say, that one's 25, that one's 3, that one's 4. And the guy was like, $4, that's great. And she's like, no, 400. But she didn't want to say the dollar amount. And, I think that's something that a lot of us in the creative world can relate to, because we love what we do. and we do it because we love it. And then when you put a pound amount on it, it just makes it feel a little bit icky for us. So I'm so glad to have you on the show to talk about this, because I think sales is like closing sales, getting that contract signed. You know, we can get a lot of inquiries and, you know, we do amazing work, but there's that bit in the middle where we just sort of fail to move them from really interested in us to actually paying us the money. So today we are going to talk about the 3 biggest mistakes you can make when closing your sale, and Hannah is going to tell us how to avoid them.
That's the plan anyway.
That's the plan. So let's start with the first mistake. What is one of the 3 that you find people make when they're closing a sale, and how can we change it around and avoid it?
So the first thing that I find, so exactly like you said, before I kind of jump into them, just to give you a little bit of background, and you think, oh, who's this sales imposter, like trying to teach us creatives how to do stuff? I actually also run a photography business, so I completely sympathize with you guys. And I fall into these traps myself, because there's so much of an emotion attached to what I do with photography that you're also right. As soon as somebody says, oh, well, how much is it? I start thinking, oh, well, I've come up with a number, but maybe you don't agree with me, and I'm not sure whether or not that's it. So yeah, I have to, it's taken me a long time. I've been doing photography for about 8 years now, and it's still the dread still fills me when people ask that question. So even us hardened salespeople, sometimes can have a moment and be like, and have to, you know, check ourselves and be like, no, this is a business. Let's remember this. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. It's that heart part, isn't it? It's the emotion of it.
Yeah, totally.
Emotion and money.
Because we love it so much, and it's I don't think it's the same as a lot of, you know, non-creative businesses. We put so much of our heart into creative side of things, be it photography, be it cake making, be it design, or, you know, anything wedding related. There's so much emotion attached to it that it's and not just for us but for our clients as well, that we don't want them to think that we're taking them for a ride either. We want it to be this perfect relationship, and let's just be friends and everything's going to be okay. And but realistically, it's a business, and, you know, we've probably all had those messages saying that they can pay us an exposure, and I checked with NatWest and they weren't happy to take that for my mortgage, unfortunately. Apparently the amount of exposure I needed was a lot, and it wasn't what I was going to get from that one photography client. So, you know, we put the nail in that coffin and sort of pushed it to one side.
Yeah, enough of that jazz, enough.
Exactly. So the first thing that I find is the biggest mistake that people make is, as soon as we tell somebody a price, and everybody does it, right? When it comes to price objections, biggest tip for you is that, especially in England, we love a discount. Like, everybody loves trying to get a little bit, you know, feel like you're special. And what we do is we panic, and we instantly go into, oh my God, how, like, they're going to want a discount. How much can I take off? What's going to work? Like, how am I going to win it? And the way to overcome that is to pause. If you give somebody your price, tell them what it is, and then stop talking. Just go quiet. Because actually what will then happen, if they do turn around and give you a price objection, if they say, oh, that's more than so and so, don't answer. Just pause for a little. And I don't mean just stare at them and never say anything, but I mean just take full on rabbit in a headlight. No, Hannah said don't say anything, so I'm not saying anything. I mean, just a natural pause, okay? Because what will happen is the client will start to fill that pause. And what will happen is they will then start to explain to you why they think that is maybe expensive. And most of the time, it's not anything to do with what you've done. It might just be that they haven't understood something, or they've not realize the amount that you've included for them, or maybe they were expecting something a little bit more that they've seen somewhere else, and that's where it comes from. But by pausing, it gives you more information from that person so that you can then go back to them and overcome that objection whilst keeping your prices at the right level, and maintaining that integrity. And because of especially in the wedding industry, it is such a big day and it's such an emotive thing for people. It helps build that relationship right at the beginning as well, because they feel heard. The second you start going into, oh, well, I can give you 20% off, and if you book by the end of today, like, you know, especially at wedding fairs, we've all been there, you've been stood on your table, it's been a long day, and you're thinking, I just need to sell one more package, or I just need to sell one more thing and everything, and then I'll have had a good day and I can go home. And somebody shows the slightest bit of interest and you go into full negotiation mode to try and get it over the line so that you can pack your stuff up and go home and put your feet up with a glass of wine. But just pause. Okay, a lot of these decisions will not be made there and then. They will have to talk it over. There's other things that they need to think about. So use that pause to your advantage to find out why they maybe are hesitating, and that can then allow you to move forward and maintain that price point so that you don't miss out.
I love that. And I'll tell you why, because the lady I was talking about that couldn't say her dollar amounts, she also said, like, because she's fantastic now, she won Australian Photographer of the Year, she's so big, she's got such a great following behind her as well, that she said that in the sales, you say your price, the next person to speak is the person going home with it. And I loved that. I was just like, yeah. And so that just falls exactly what you said. Let them respond to the price. Don't immediately jump in there and start going, but I can do this and I can do that and I can do the other, because that's you not having confidence in your pricing, and they're immediately going to think it's not worth it if you go straight into discount mode. So yeah, definitely love that tip. That's fantastic. Oh, I knew it was going to be a good episode.
And I started thinking, just which is shocking, and anybody who knows me will be like, Hannah, pause for breath, that's not like Hannah. And I'm like, because you haven't guessed, I'm a talker. That's what like I do. But it still to this day is the best thing that I've ever been taught. And it's the same if you're in front of people, it's the same if you get an email or if you get a message on social media. Just send your price and pause. Okay, say this is what it is, especially on messages. Say these are my packages. If you need any more information, drop me a message, like let me know, and then wait. Okay, and then obviously follow up after a certain amount, in the same way that you wouldn't just then stop talking to somebody if you're face to face. You do need to follow up and what have you, but don't instantly jump into, because I've done it on social media where I've been like, oh, this is that package. Oh yeah, but if you can't afford that, then obviously there's this and we're all going to try and get a discount. As soon as you know somebody will give you a discount, boy, am I going to get that discount. Like I'm going to find a way of making sure that I am not paying full price.
And the issue is when you do that, then they see the doors open. Yeah. And then they start getting you down further. They want more. You know, you give an inch, they take a mile. So it is really that. And with weddings, it's so expensive. If they can see that little opening of a discount, they're going to try and get you down as much as possible and throw things at you like, well, so-and-so is this much. And they do the same thing and try and get you down further. So yeah, definitely we need to be confident.
My favorite phrase is always good for so-and-so. Like, okay.
Good for them. They're not going to be in business in 3 years' time. It's fine.
Yeah. I'll be here. You can come back next year when the fair's back. You know, I'll be here still. But realistically, I mean, from a wedding point of view, it's a buyer's market. It is not a seller's market. They are in a position. They know they're in a position of power as a buyer. So you need to maintain that power. You need to remember that, you know, for a lot of us, we have a certain number of clients that you need to get in a year to make the amount that you want, etc. But there's also a lot of energy that goes into this. So you don't want to be taking a client that from the second that they sign that contract or they say, yeah, I want to work with you, you're thinking, oh, can't believe I gave them that discount. Like, it's just, oh, okay. There's then that negative energy in that relationship, and you don't want that moving forward. You want people to work with you where price is not a factor for them. And by pausing, you will find those people that will instantly go, oh my God, that's amazing, take my money, because they're the ones you want to work with. They're the
Yeah.
people around you that you want to fill your calendar. You don't want the cheapskate that's going to, especially from like photography and things. I've had people be, oh, can you just, is it all right if you just pop here like an hour earlier, or like, you know, just stay for a little bit, or so and so's dad's best friend's dog's coming and we want a picture with the bride. And no, I finish at 10 o'clock, bugger off. Like, that's it. I will stay later, but only if I want to stay. Like, my wedding photographer, I mean, Kylie booked her for 8 hours and she was there for like 11. Like, I couldn't get rid of her. I was like, what are you doing? She was like, oh, we're standing having a drink with your uncle, and I've done, you know, and I've been chatting to your dad, and it's lovely because she had such a lovely day and she was such a lovely person, that because that relationship was built on trust and on mutual respect from the beginning, it meant that me as a bride, I got more than I expected. And then I have literally passed every single one of my friends who has got married. I've been like, you need to speak to Visha. You need to speak to me. Like, you need this woman in your life. She's incredible. And I've been to so many weddings since, and I'm like, oh, hey, like, oh, I know you. Like, and the same with all the vendors. I'm like, oh, I know that band. Oh, I know that, you know, because they're people that had that relationship from the beginning. So, so yeah, utilize the pause. Remember to pause.
Love that. Love that. Right. What's our next biggest mistake? I'm loving this.
So this second one may come as a bit of a shock to some of you. And it's just ask. So many people, you have a conversation with people. They ask, are you available on a certain date? You say yes. They ask your price. You give them the prices and they go, oh, that sounds good. And then we forget to say, so would you like to book in? So shall I send you the contract? Shall I send you the details to, you know, to pay your deposit to book that slot, etc.? And I think it's because we have this idea that that is pushy and that is horrible, and we don't want to do that, because especially for you guys, because, you know, obviously within your society, it's the whole, I want to maintain my integrity. I don't want them to feel like I'm pushing them. But there is a very big difference between actually just asking somebody and being pushy. Being pushy is, oh, you can't afford it, oh, we'll take out a loan or pop it on a credit card, you know, it's fine. And then bombarding them with message after message after message. That's pushy. Don't do that. That's horrible. And that will very quickly get you a reputation that you do not want in any industry. But because we're so worried about this, we actually just don't ask our customers, or we don't tell our customers how to buy it and how to pay us. So making that process as simple as possible so that you can then just send a link. One photographer I know has an automated booking system. She uses Calendly now, and it's mainly used by like the coach world for booking, you know, coaching and meetings and Zooms and things. But she actually just uses it for securing dates and paying deposits. And it's linked with her website. And you go on, you can see what days she's available. You can see how much the deposit you have to pay is. And then once you've had a conversation, you just go on and do it. She sends you a link and you go and then it's all taken care of. There's no kind of having to message and be like, oh, well, the money's actually not in my account, and no, you know, just make it nice and simple, and don't worry about actually just asking somebody and saying, do you want to go ahead with that?
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. Is actually just tell them how they can give you money.
Yeah. And that is something that I think is, you know, one of the parts of our code of conduct in the society, is that you are not going to be pushy with your sales, and you'll be upfront with your prices. So being able to just tell them the prices, have that dialogue about, you know, their objections over that, and then turn around and say, would you like to book today? And then tell them how to pay the deposit. Like, it's just a question. It's not pushy. It's service. You know, if they walk away and think, oh, she was really, really good, but it puts that sort of little bit of doubt in their head. If you're not confident enough to say, would you like to book the date? You know, you can secure the date, you know, say to them, you can secure the date with this much down today if you would like. You know, that's not being pushy, that's telling them how it works. And you know, a couple of episodes ago I spoke about payment plans and deposits and retainers, so do go back and listen to that one if you haven't listened to it, because I've got a big thing with deposits, and it's a word that we always use in the industry. It's something that we always, and it's, you know, last 16 months it's caught us a cropper many a time. So if you haven't listened to that episode, go and listen to it. And I also recommend the episode with Heather Stanford Gould, which was episode 48, Your Legal Fairy Godmother, because she had some great things to say in there. But ask the question, would you like to book? That is it. But again, I think it's that fear of rejection. Like, we're scared to tell them how much because we're not confident in our prices, or we think that they're going to think that we're expensive. And then we're scared of rejection, of asking that question. So we've got to get over it.
got to get over these things. It's, you know, it's completely, like, a lot of what we do is completely subjective. Okay. And there's a phrase that can have this one as a little bonus summit for me. And this is something that I tell so many of my clients. There's a phrase from Dita Von Teese, and she says, you can be the ripest, juiciest peach in the bunch, but some people just don't like peaches. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. So photography is so subjective. What one person likes, another person won't like. And that doesn't mean that it's bad. It just means that it's not to somebody's taste. The same with cakes, the same with design and flowers and venue. Literally everything to do with weddings is subjective. And that actually is such a really good thing, because it means that there's so much variety in the market for people to have exactly what they want. And by showcasing what you do on social media, by showing the things that, you know, you do over everybody else, and putting that out there, that then creates a filter so that the people that do come to you are the people who do like what you do. And then it's just a case of semantics. Then it's a case of just making sure that they're in the right budget. And, you know, if you're charging thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds for your photography, then make everything that you do be, you know, luxury and exclusive. Because then when you turn around and tell somebody that it's £3,000 for a day's worth of photography, they're not shocked, because they think, oh, well, it's going to be expensive because she's, you know, amazing. Look, she flies all around the world and stuff. Whereas if you're more at the affordable end, make that a thing, you know, tell people that you have smaller packages, etc. So you're already starting to overcome those hurdles, so that you don't worry so much if somebody just turn around and say no. It's part of business. I lost count within probably the first 3 months of working in sales, the amount of times that people said no. And sometimes it wasn't polite. Like, I come from an engineering background. Engineers ain't polite. Like, they'll tell you quite bluntly that why they don't want to work with you. But it's, you know, for photography and the creative sides, it's just that, you know, maybe it's just not them.
You're not their peach.
Wrong with you? You're just not their peach. You're a banana or a pineapple or an apple or whatever. Maybe you're a mango and they just don't like. They want
too tropical. Just too tropical.
Yeah, exactly. Just too tropical.
Love it.
But yeah, So there you
Yeah,
go.
yeah, completely agree with that. It's there's a lot of self work to get over when you're talking about money and when you're talking about asking for the booking. And I think that is something that people do have to realize, that it's an internal thing, and it's something that you've got to work on, because it's going to hold you back. When you can be confident in your pricing, when you can be confident in your packages, and when you can be confident knowing you guys know, that you do a good job for your clients. You know how happy your clients are when you've got the testimonials to prove it. So why wouldn't somebody else pay to have you at their wedding doing that job? Be confident.
One of the best things I ever did in my photography business was double my pricing. And that sounds really scary for a lot of people, but for a long time I was competing with everybody and I was trying to compete on price. And I suddenly just went, do you know what? No, I'm not getting out of bed for £30 an hour. Do you know what? It's just not, like, I'm worth more than that. And I hate the phrase like charge your worth, because that is extremely damaging to people, because you start to associate your worth with what people will pay. And the phrase that I use is charge your value and then add tax. Because we have to add tax.
I think
So
we've been listening to the same podcasts. I literally listened to a podcast the other day. It was an Amy Porterfield podcast. If I can find it, I will link it in the show notes. And she was speaking to a coach who deals with high figure businesses. And she says, I never tell people to charge their worth, because your worth is infinite.
Yep.
Every life is so worthy. You cannot charge it.
Yeah, I actually did a full post yesterday on my Facebook profile and a live video, because in a training that I was doing yesterday, we ended up talking about it, because people saying, oh, well, what's it worth? And I was like, no, stop using the word worth. Worth has nothing to do with price. It's value.
Yes.
And not your value, the value to your client.
Yes.
So stop putting any attachment to that. The price is just a number. And the second I went, no, do you know what? Like, this is the value that you're getting. It's not just because I photograph dancers. I was like, it's not a picture that you could take on your iPhone. It's not a picture that you could do with your, oh, well, my dad owns a camera. Okay, well, you go to the beach and do you, boo, but that's not me. If you want to work with me, I have spent 8 years honing my craft, not just in photography, but in dance, and understanding technique and everything that goes into it. So as a result, this is the price you pay.
Yeah.
And I put a post out and I said, this is what's happening. All of my prices. This is my price from the start of 2020, actually, which was a bit of a shock when 3 months later, the world kind of went,
stopped. Yeah.
Whack. But for those 3 months, my inquiries doubled and my work doubled. So not only had I doubled my price, but I got twice as much work in, because people suddenly were seeing that value that they were getting. And I was talking about, you book a shoot, you spend all day with me. I don't book anybody else in. So if it overruns, it overruns. It's fine. But yeah, so that's the big thing is realizing that you're not everybody's peach. Like, not everybody likes peaches, and actually that the price is the value that the client is getting from you, not attached to your worth in any way, shape or form. Because like you say, that's infinite. We're all amazing, and it should be $1 billion an hour, but unfortunately there's not many Elon Musks in the world that are going to pay me $1 billion an hour, so
no, definitely not. Oh, we can dream. Okay, so what is our third biggest mistake we make when closing the sale?
So number 3 is something that I see with pretty much everybody, and that is something called selling past the close. And this basically is when you're talking to a client and they're really excited, and you've told them they can do the date, it's well within their budget, they're literally sat there, I would say checkbook in hand, but nobody in the world uses checks anymore. They've got their card out and they're like, they want to put it on that Stripe machine, they want to pay their deposit, and you're still selling. You're still telling them everything that they're going to get, and because you're so worried that they don't see the value, you're still selling. And what this does is it turns people off.
Yeah.
And if you sell past the close, you will lose the sale. Simple as.
Oh my God. just so good. It's just so good because, yeah, I mean, we get enthusiastic about what we do, and we want to make sure that they have every single piece of information about every single thing that we're going to do for them, so they've got all of the information. But yeah, sometimes that's too much and you overload them. You don't need to tell them every single thing. This is stuff that could come out. Oh, did you not realize you also get that included as well? Yeah. And then afterwards, once they paid their deposit and they're in and they're hearing, oh, and I get this, oh, and I get that, oh, and then they were like, God, this should have been even more. You don't have to give them everything.
No, you don't have to tell everybody. And a lot of time as well, especially in the wedding industry, they already know who you are before they've had a conversation with you. They've stalked the living hell out of you. They've read every testimonial. They've seen every design you've ever done. They've seen every photo from every wedding you've ever taken. And they're already ready to buy, and they're just coming to you to sort the contract out. So you don't need to sell to them. They are primed and ready to give you money. So if somebody is making all the right buying signals, they are singing from the right hymn sheet, stop selling. Because if you keep selling, it will then turn them off, and they will go somewhere else.
I think that's really important, and something that a lot of people are probably guilty of and don't even realize. In a couple of weeks' time, I am going to have the wonderful Amy McLaren on the podcast. She is going to be sharing with us all about her new book, Passion to Purpose. I urge you to head to Amazon now and pre-order this book. It is out on the 10th of August and it is amazing. It is such a good book to sort of really get into what it is that you want out of your life and where it's heading, how to make it work for you. She has created an awesome life for herself and her family along with her husband Stu, and she is definitely someone to listen to on this topic. So I hope you will listen in to the podcast episode on the 12th of August and get over to Amazon now and pre-order Passion to Purpose by Amy McLaren. Yeah. So if we are, what would you say is the things that we should be looking out for to know that they are ready to buy, and we should probably start doing the close part and saying, this is the date that you're wanting, I am available, do you want to put your deposit down? When do we know in the conversation that that's kind of the time is right? The
time is right. Do you know, it is a hard one, and I'm not going to pretend that this is like a really specific formula that every single bride and groom will follow. Some you will get poker face partner who is like, no, we need to review the spreadsheet. That was my husband, just FYI. And then you'll get the overly excited bride who's like, oh my God, yes, take my money. And he's like, oh my God, get away from that stand. We don't need it, go away. But what you need to look at, like, you will know if you need to look back at all of your previous clients. What things have they said? What phrases have they used when it comes to the point that they are about to buy from you? Okay. And then those are the things that you need to look out for. So, if you've already told them that the date is there, if they've started the conversation saying, oh, I've seen your work online, it's amazing. If they've said to you, oh, I'm really glad you're free that day. Oh, that price is brilliant, or that's in our budget, things like that. That's when you then start to say, that's fantastic, I'm free that day. Would you like to secure a deposit? If they want to go away and they want to think about it, again, that's fine. But if they say they want to go away and think about it, then make sure you take their details down so that you can follow up with them.
Yeah.
Because what happens is a lot of people will say, oh, I just need to go away and think about it. You haven't then got their details, and the second they walk away from you, that's it, they've gone, and you have no way of tracking and making sure that they're going to come, like that you have any way of following up with them. So just think, it's a very emotive decision, but if they are using all the right emotions, if they are, you know, using those little buying words like, that's our date, that she can do that, okay, that's fantastic, you know, oh, it's in our budget, etc., you'll feel it. As weird as that sounds, and as unhelpful as it might sound to some people,
No, it makes sense.
You can just tell whether or not somebody's, and you know what's the worst that happens is that you say to somebody who isn't quite right or isn't quite at that point, would you, you know, do you want to book me in? And they say, oh, actually, we just need to think about it. That's fine. Then you can say to them, okay, just put your like, if you want, you can just put your details down. I can give you a ring in a couple of days, or I can drop you a message in a couple of days, you know, and check, or I can let you know if anybody else inquires about that date, etc. You're not being pushy, you're just being a business person, rather than letting them walk away and never ever seeing them again.
Yeah. And I think another good thing to remember is that if you're getting those signals that Hannah's talking about there, where they're saying all the right things and they're getting excited and they're, oh, that's in our budget and all of those things, and you say, okay, would you like to book? And they say, oh, that's not a no. That's not, this isn't going to happen. You haven't blown it by asking that question too early. You may just have missed something. Always ask if there is anything they need to know before they go that you can help them with, anything that they've missed that they didn't hear or you haven't explained properly. So they've got all the information so that you can say, I just want to make sure that you've got all the information you need to make an informed decision, and I'll contact you in a couple of days and see where you're at. And that's not being pushy. That's providing good customer service, because they're dealing with 20 other vendors in all different markets, and they don't know their elbow from their, you know, their whatever it is. They don't know whether they're coming or going.
I mean, the phrase is there, but I probably wouldn't correct you.
Oh yes, no, it's come to me.
I know what word you were looking for, but it's probably not one that you want in the podcast.
I'm sitting on it right now.
Your bum.
But yeah,
we'll go with bum.
You don't know, and they forget who they've spoken to, and perhaps they're not as organized and as micro organized as I can be, and they haven't got all of these things written down, and they can go home, they can have this conversation, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, I don't actually know who we're dealing with. I can't remember who that photographer was, and they found somebody else. So you need to sort of make sure that you are looking for those signals. Ask them if they'd like to book. If they say we need to think about it, check to make sure they've got all the information they need. Make sure you have those contact details so that you can come back to them in a couple of days, and then do that. That is one of the things that I have found is the biggest bugbear with bride and grooms, and the thing that we fall down on the most is the follow-up. It's almost like we're convinced that if they don't book when they're in front of us, then they don't want us, and then we don't want to ring them and get that rejection again, like the second rejection. It's not that. They have to go away, they have to work out their budget. Maybe it's slightly more expensive than they were expecting, but they really like you, and they need to go and work out their budget and make sure that they can shift some things around so they can afford you. You know, there is nothing wrong with giving them a call when you've said you're going to give them a call. Give them that call. Ask them if they need any more information. Ask them if they're ready to book. And if they say, do you know what? No, we're going to go with somebody else. Then you go, that's fine.
Exactly.
You've offered them great customer service, and, you know, and you can do no more than that. So.
And another thing that I have found really useful is that if people do say no to you, something that happens that I've had happen, or you can't do a date, refer somebody you know. We all know somebody in the industry. We all know somebody who maybe does something slightly different from us, or even very similar to what we do. And those referrals will come back, and you will then get extra work from it. And the bride and the groom will be so thankful. If you can't make a date, or you can't do something, or like you say, it's just not quite the right fit, you can say to people like, that's completely fine. I completely understand. Is there any chance I can just ask, what was it specifically that, made it a no, or that made you not proceed? Because that's really useful for you to know. But you can also then lead that and say, because I may know somebody who can help you if you haven't found something already. And then they're more willing to give you that feedback as well, because they see it, that it's coming from a place of somebody who is trying to help, somebody who's trying to make it better for them, rather than just, well, I want to know why you didn't book me. You'll actually just reframe it and use it as is there any way that I can, I'm in the industry, I've got lots of connections, is there somebody specific that something specific you're looking for, and maybe I can help you.
Excellent
and
customer
that then
service.
helps in the future.
That's like what I'm all about. And even if they don't buy from you, and I've said this previously, probably on a podcast episode actually, even if they don't buy from you, if you have offered them fantastic customer service, if they've come to you because they really, really wanted you, and maybe you haven't got the date available, or it's just too far out of their budget for them to stretch or something like that, so it's not because they didn't like you, it's just the semantics of it, then maybe, just maybe, they're still going to refer you because you've given them this excellent customer service, because they loved your work, and they'll go, oh, we loved her, but she wasn't available for our day, so you definitely give her a call. And then they might as well recommend their own photographer as well, who they did have. But you're going to get referrals from couples that were really pleased that you gave them that extra help, and you're going to get referrals from the other people who get those bookings because you pass them down the line. They're going to refer people back to you. So it's a win-win to ask for that feedback. Definitely. And like you say, if the feedback comes back that, well, actually, I wanted this in my package and you didn't have it, but this person did, and they were 200 quid cheaper, then you're like, you write that information down, and then when you're redoing your packages, maybe that's something you include, depending on how many people have said, oh, well, I expected to see this. If you've got that feedback, you can make more informed decisions that are better for your business. So, that was brilliant. I'm so chuffed with that. Like, just little nuggets. So here are your 3 biggest mistakes: not doing the pause, speaking after you've said the price, talking yourself out of the sale by trying to discount it a million times, not asking for the sale. So just simply giving them all the information and then sending them on their way without having that next action step in place. Trying to be everyone's peach. I think a lot of people are guilty of that. That was our little bonus. Don't try and be everyone's peach. Stick to your niche and your clients will come to you. And selling past the close. So just be careful about, again, talking yourself out of the sale by continually trying to tell them everything that you do, to make them see the value when they're already ready to give you their money. Thank you so much for your time today, Hannah. I really, really appreciate it. I think that you may have a little gift for our audience. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I have, yes. So I have put together a guide from me on how to overcome price objections, but without being that pushy person that we all hate. So I have created a guide, and it is around the 5 main reasons that people actually use the price objection in business and when buying from people, and ways of overcoming it, or in one case, ways of not overcoming it and just leaving it be.
Fantastic.
So if you guys want to grab that, you can get that at my website, which is hannahwalkerconsultancy.com/price guide. And it is completely free. There is no hidden say before anyone goes,
No
oh, but
hidden
she's a
price.
salesperson,
Yeah.
there's got to be a price in there. No, it is 100% completely free. You can download it. All you've got to do is just pop your email address in there and it will be sent to you. And then if you don't want to hear from me, you can easily opt out. And it's actually the first email that I send you is to say, if you don't want to hear from me, please feel free to hit the unsubscribe button, because I
Don't
get
want
it.
to be
I
spammy.
understand.
Don't want to be pushy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's no
exactly.
spammy from Hannah. So
it doesn't match, does it?
No, it's funny. Everyone's like, but wait, she said she's a sales coach. I'm like, yeah, I know. I get it. It's weird. And I get that we're still trying to break that, but that's what I'm trying to do. So
awesome. So that will be linked in the show notes, guys. You can head over and find that there. And if you are a member of the Society of Professional Wedding Vendors, then don't forget to be in our group tonight, because when this episode airs, Hannah is going to be in the group tonight talking about overcoming objections. So I'm sure some of those tips in that guide will be coming out and we'll be able to talk about it, and you'll be able to ask her some questions. So don't forget to join us there if you are a member, and we will see you again soon. Bye for now.